Welcome to this explainer. Today we're demystifying the covert mechanics of psychological manipulation. We're going to unpack some absolutely fascinating research on how the human mind gets hacked, literally daily, in ways you probably don't even realize. But don't worry, by the end of this, we're giving you the psychological armor you need to defend yourself.
I mean, let's be real. Have you ever agreed to something and immediately wondered, wait, why did I just say yes? We've all felt that weird, invisible pressure. You walk away from a conversation or a purchase thinking, how did I just get talked into that? Well, today we're revealing the exact top 10 techniques manipulators use to pull your strings. Think of this explainer as a sleek, deep dive into cybersecurity, but for your mind. All right, Section 1, the architecture of manipulation. We're going to look at the threat, the mechanism, and the defense. Let's set the baseline here. Dark psychology isn't about physical force or obvious in-your-face threats. No, it's about omnipresent, completely invisible traps. These tactics are perfectly designed to bypass your critical thinking. They literally hack your evolutionary wiring. Think about it for a second. The exact same mental shortcuts your brain uses to, quickly grab your favorite brand of coffee in a crowded grocery aisle, those are the exact same cognitive biases manipulators exploit. They take your brain's incredible efficiency and they turn it right against you.
Moving right along to Section 2, building false trust, or the setup.
Okay, let's look at trap number 1, the mirror effect. You see, from a very early age, we humans are totally programmed to mimic others to connect. Actually, our brains have these things called mirror neurons that fire specifically to help us relate to people. And guess what? Manipulators weaponize this. Imagine you're at a networking event or chatting with a salesperson. Subtly, they start matching your posture. Then, the speed of your voice, maybe even your emotional tone. Before you even consciously realize what's happening, your brain's mirror neurons are firing on all cylinders, tricking your subconscious into feeling this deep, instant sense of familiarity and trust. You feel like, wow, this person just gets me. Boom, your defenses drop entirely.
Next up, we have 2 traps that are total opposites but equally devastating. Trap number 2 is the foot in the door. Imagine you agree to a tiny, harmless request, like answering a quick survey. Because our brains naturally despise inconsistency, you suddenly feel this immense internal pressure to agree to the next, much bigger request, just so you stay aligned with your new identity as a helpful person. On the flip side, we have trap number 3, door in the face. Imagine someone asks you for a massive, wildly unreasonable favor that they know for sure you'll reject. When you inevitably say no, they follow up with a much smaller demand. Next to that huge initial request, the second one looks like a totally reasonable compromise, right? It totally tricks your innate sense of reciprocity into accepting what they wanted all along.
So, how do you defend against this one? You've got to consciously step back and evaluate. If an initial request feels absurdly huge, well, recognize it as an artificial anchor, meant to mess with your perspective. And if a tiny request suddenly snowballs into a major commitment, remember, your consistency bias is being played. Take a breath. Remember that you hold the power to say no at absolutely any stage. Yep, even if you already said yes to that very first step. Let's move to Section 3, emotional and social traps. This is what we call the squeeze. Trap number 4, guilt tripping. Oh man, have you ever been hit with a heavy sigh and something like, well, I guess I'll just do it myself after everything I've done for you? It's a highly calculated emotional weapon. Instead of just asking for what they want directly, the manipulator frames the whole situation so that rejecting them feels like an act of extreme selfishness. They are deliberately exploiting your natural desire to be a good, supportive person and your desire to avoid conflict, coercing you to act entirely out of unearned remorse.
Now, trap number 5 is triangulation, and this one is a highly toxic social game. By artificially bringing a third party into a conflict, say a partner casually dropping the name of an ex or a boss heavily favoring one specific coworker, the manipulator creates this chaotic emotional triangle. They foster rivalry, jealousy, and deep insecurity. Why? To ensure everyone involved is constantly looking back to them for validation. They divide, and therefore they conquer.
Let's slow down a bit for trap number 6, the silent treatment. The data on this is honestly staggering. The cold, deliberate withholding of communication isn't just annoying, and it's not just immature. Neurologically speaking, social rejection triggers the exact same regions in your brain as physical pain. Let that sink in. It is an outright attack on your fundamental human need for connection, and it induces a literal physiological panic response. It makes the victim totally desperate to submit and apologize, just to restore the relationship and stop the pain.
Moving into Section 4, distorting your reality, the deep control. Trap number 7 is the Zeigarnik Effect. Think about why you binge watch a TV show right after a massive cliffhanger. Our brains absolutely despise unresolved patterns. We hold on to unfinished business with incredible urgency. So when a manipulator leaves a critical conversation hanging or gives you a vague, unresolved task, it creates a mental loop that plays constantly in your mind. You experience this deep psychological tension that you just can't shake until you give them the closure and the compliance that they're subtly demanding.
Trap number 8, time pressure. When there's an artificial clock ticking down, like an aggressive limited time offer at a car dealership, or one of those flashing countdown timers you see online, your rational prefrontal cortex basically just shuts off. Your emotional limbic system is forced into a state of panic. Manipulators manufacture these super urgent, totally fabricated deadlines to trigger your fear of missing out. It forces you to make a rushed, impulsive decision that solely benefits them, long before you even have time to think critically.
Trap number 9 is the Decoy Effect. Fun fact, your brain actually struggles with assigning absolute value to things, but it loves making relative comparisons. Imagine you're choosing a subscription service or buying popcorn at the movies. If there's a highly overpriced Ultra option sitting right next to a slightly cheaper Premium option, that Ultra tier is probably completely useless. It exists purely as a decoy. It makes the Premium target look like an absolute steal, hijacking your decision-making process by making you think, wow, I'm getting a great deal here.
Finally, trap number 10, and arguably the heaviest concept on our list today, gaslighting. This is a relentless, totally calculated distortion of facts. The manipulator constantly denies reality, using phrases like, "that never happened," or "you're just being paranoid." Over time, this slow drip of denial completely erodes your self-confidence. You literally stop trusting your own memory. You doubt your own perception. And ultimately, you become entirely dependent on the abuser's fabricated version of reality.
All right, Section 5, defending your mind. Time to take back control.
Here is your rapid-fire defense kit, pulled directly from the research. First, slow down your decisions. Seriously, never let manufactured time pressure hijack your brain. Take space to think. Second, judge choices independently, completely ignoring any obvious decoys designed to trick your sense of value. Third, force direct communication. This instantly shuts down triangulation and silent treatments. Just refuse to play the game. Fourth, document your reality to combat gaslighting. Keep receipts, write things down. And above all else, remember that your active awareness is absolutely your best shield.
Keep your eyes wide open, folks. Stay critically aware of these 10 traps in your daily interactions. As you step back into your life today, I want you to look closely at the people, the advertisements, and the requests around you, and ask yourself this final lingering question. Now that you actually know the rules of the game, who is playing it on you right now?